Common Sensors, thank you so much for watching this video and for tuning in. And remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Common Sense Mamita. Please welcome Luisa Leschin. While you were doing commercials, there were a few occasions when you got to work with the casting director and be a reader.
Yes.
I want to talk about what you learned from that.
I was doing a lot of Spanish language commercials, and so casting directors approached me and said, hey, will you help out and listen for the accents? Because, you know, they varied so much. Anglos don't know if they're hearing Puerto Rican, Cuba, whatever. The one thing that I have taken away from casting, and even as a producer, writer, and stuff, there's levels. Mm-hmm. There's people that walk in and they're like, boom, head and shoulders. And it's like, wow. And they are above the crowd, and it's just that next level up, and they're undeniable.
That it quality.
Yeah. They walk in and they just have that chispa or whatever. You can't really buy that. You can't really study that. You can't really, you know, you just have to have that. And if you're fortunate enough to be there, you just stand out right away. I don't know if it's fair or unfair. It's just what it is. When I was working on the George Lopez show as a writer, producer, and I would go to castings, I got incredibly upset and disillusioned, and because people would come in, nail it. I mean, nail the character, nail the audition. You're like, it's gotta be this guy, you know, or this woman. Our executive producer would go, yeah, they really nailed it, but you know what? He would overthink it, and he'd go, maybe we should go opposite, and you know, get something twisted a little, and not have someone who nailed the jokes, nailed the character, nailed what we had in mind. Let's go against the type of this. And it never worked. And what would happen is somebody else would get cast. It wasn't their fault. The jokes wouldn't work. We'd have to change jokes. And then we'd have to reduce the jokes. And finally, what would end up happening is the executive producer would go, you see, day players are just awful to work with. They just don't bring it. And it was like, no, I saw this happen. I saw how this happened. And it was depressing.
Sometimes actors think that it's their fault.
No.
It's their fault that
Yes.
they didn't get it, and they
Yes.
don't understand the process. So this is
They don't understand.
important to talk about.
Nowadays, it's gotten even worse.
When you were on George Lopez, you would have casting sessions. You would get to see unfairness happen.
Yeah. I mean, the way the business has changed, now the auditions are on video. Rarely does anybody come in. What generally happens is you're in the middle of your workday, production day, and, you know, writing. And, I mean, you're just inundated. And, oh, my gosh, now we have to cast this part that's going to work in a day or two. And what I would see the execs do, and sometimes, you know, you're looking at it on your iPad. And you open it up, and it's like, you know, the part of Kathy. And you have 8 to 10 to 12 choices. You know, you see the little tiny headshots.
Right.
And
the thumbnail.
Yeah, the thumbnail. And I, as an actress, made myself a promise that I would open every single one and look at the auditions. But, you know, other director, executive producers, you know, they would just go, oh, okay, she looks like she might be the part, and skip a bunch. So from the thumbnail, there's already a cut sometimes.
That's why it is important to have a hot thumbnail that gets people's eye. You got to start right at that point. It used to be your headshot. Now it is the thumbnail.
The thumbnail, I would try to make it look like the character. There was a case here where we were on set, we're shooting, and we had to cast a really important part for Just Add Magic. And the director's directing, and I'm sitting there. I said, well, I'll look through the castings. And I see these pictures in there of women, and some of them look too glamorous, to this, to that. But I had made myself that promise, so I'm going through all of them. The very last one looked nothing like what we thought. And her picture was too glamorous. She was very done up, and I'm like, that's absolutely not the part. She gave an amazing reading. She looked nothing like the thumbnail picture that was there, and it would have never been opened by other people. And she ended up being a recurring. She did about 6 to 8 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah. We cast a girl who became a regular for a recurring for 3 seasons, and she taped herself. It can go all different ways.
There is no formula,
Yes.
but what you want to do is be prepared. You started as a dancer, and then you went into acting, voiceovers, and then writing, and now you're a producer. You're a showrunner on series. I want to talk about actors that you see that come to the room and aren't prepared, or that videotape that aren't really prepared? Because now that they're not coming in the room and they're coming
They're not
in
coming in the room, yeah.
taped, how it, do you see people on tape that
Honestly, no. I mean, that's, I think, what was so painful for me was that I would look at the series of 8 or 10, 12. Every single one of them was terrific. I mean, nailed the joke, had the timing, fully prepared, every single one of them. So what was painful was the showrunner and the directors, we would all make our selections, and then the showrunner was the one who would make his final pick. And all these other people who did wonderful jobs were kind of gone. There was no accumulation. There wasn't like, wow, let's remember this person. I mean, occasionally that does happen. You go, this person was really, really awesome. Let's try to remember. But no one actually
busy.
writes down the
You're
name.
moving,
I mean,
you're doing
ideally
your
you
stuff.
would write the name down,
Right.
or occasionally I would send a little note to the casting director, go, great casting call, or this guy was awesome. Occasionally if I had the time, which I think if more of us did that, it would, because I know what that does to people, for people. There was an example where there was 12 women who got in their car, put the makeup, put the thing, clothing, go through traffic, go, and it was one word. It was like something almost false, and it's like, oops, that was it. Everyone was amazing, fantastic, did a great job. We selected one person. Something else came up, another woman, it was like a teacher role or something, and I go, can we not cast from these women? Or at least call them back for, and it's like, no, we'll just do a separate casting. And it was like, ugh, so it's hard. It's hard.